Hi, this is Alessio, Rastani of Leading Trader, and welcome to this update on Bitcoin. In this video, we're going to address what could potentially be about to happen next on Bitcoin and how to prepare ourselves for that. Over the last few days, I'm sure you've seen tons of newspaper headlines and, of course, articles, and even mainstream media have been talking about the milestone in Bitcoin reaching the new levels, as I'm sure you've heard, from 10 to 15, now to 17,000, and it continues. So it seems a lot of folks are now interested in learning more about Bitcoin, and as I'm sure you're probably aware, a lot of folks are also jumping into Bitcoin. These are what we call the late buyers or latecomers, and that's quite important to bear in mind, because according to a report published by Jason Geppert of sentimenttrader.com. And by the way, if you're not familiar with Jason's research, I highly recommend his research newsletter, because what Jason does is that he looks at the historical analysis of many different markets, including Bitcoin, and he looks at what statistics and what history tells us about what could happen next in Bitcoin, and indeed other markets too. So in his last newsletter and research, he said this, which is quite interesting. He said that the levels of sentiment, the bullish or indeed optimistic sentiment we've seen on Bitcoin have not been seen. So this is where we are right now on Bitcoin, okay, just over $15,000 to $16,000. So according to the research, the levels we're seeing right now on Bitcoin have not been seen since 2013. In fact, since the last time was November 2013 and April 2013. And just in case you may not remember what happened to Bitcoin in November of 2013, let me show you. So this is the chart of Bitcoin right before the major rally that ensued. So this is November. Bitcoin at the time was about $200. In fact, just in October, it was about $100. Then in November 2013, we saw a sudden surge which pushed Bitcoin up almost 1,000%. So again, from about $100 in October to $1,100 by the end of November. Now, what is interesting is that Bitcoin at the time also received a huge amount of press coverage, and also mainstream media was talking about it. But it's also interesting to see how the price then reacted. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw a regression channel from the lows to the highs. This is essentially a statistical tool, and it's very useful because it determines the range and the volatility of the market. And essentially what this regression channel does is that it draws this steep channel that you see here. Okay, and I want you to pay attention very closely to what happens next when the price breaks out of this channel right about there. Okay, so notice that as long as we're inside this channel, all is good. Okay, so price is going up, and then notice as the price then breaks out and actually closes out of it, which is right about there. Okay, that is quite important because it shows a break in the market structure and a statistical 2 standard deviation move outside of that range. And of course, as Bitcoin dropped out of this channel, the sentiment, the optimistic sentiment that many people had towards Bitcoin also dropped quite immediately. There was a little bit of buying, but that did not last for very long before it sold off again. And of course, the rest is history, as you can see what happened next, because over the next few months, it continued to drop. Now, I'm not suggesting that's exactly what's going to happen to Bitcoin right now, but what I am saying is this. If I just zoom out of the screen here, and then if we just draw our regression channel, that statistical tool I just mentioned here, okay? So you will see the range we're in right now. That puts the bottom of that range, just to let you know, the bottom of that range is around about 13,500. Now, that could change maybe in the future, depending on if Bitcoin continues to go higher. But at the moment, that's where it stands, about 13,500 to 13,000, which means that if Bitcoin manages to finally get out of this channel, that is the time to be paying very close attention, because that will be the first initial sign of a chink in the armor and a potential instability in this rally that we've seen here. Once we see that break in the structure, once we see the Bitcoin prices coming out of that channel, then we could potentially see a reversion back to the averages that we see on the charts here. But for the moment, it's a bit too dangerous to fight this move. Alright guys, hope this video helps. And if this video has been of help to you, please give it a thumbs up, and also please remember to subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.